This video is going to share 5 red flags that teachers need to be aware of if they're applying for jobs abroad or in their home countries. I feel like I need a red flag edited in here. Over on my Instagram, I mentioned red flags and I asked you guys, if you follow me on Instagram, what some of the red flags are that you can think of. And there's a range, but I also have a range of my own that they kind of matched up with. So what I'm gonna do is share my 5 red flags and then also share some of the comments that I got on the question that I put on my Instagram. If you don't follow me on things like TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, make sure you follow me. Sometimes the content is different and you'll also get a chance to interact with videos like this and share your input too. If you feel like at the end of this video, I haven't shared a red flag that you're thinking of, make sure you comment it down in the comment section. So let's jump into the first red flag that you need to think about when applying for. Red flag number 1 is probably the most obvious, but often the most challenging to find out, and that is a high staff turnover. When looking at staff turnover, what I mean is not necessarily an increase in the amount of jobs at that school. That can be a good thing. What I'm on about is where the number of students hasn't necessarily increased, but year on year, there is a range of different jobs that come up from that school. What this indicates is that they have a high staff turnover because people will come in, dislike the school and then want to quickly leave. And then as a result, the school then still needs to fill those positions. So that shows a little bit of a challenging working environment that you do need to be aware of. You might also find that there is a change in SLT and then suddenly the year after there's lots of new jobs coming about. That could also be linked to the challenges of the SLT that have come in and people wanting to leave as a result of it. Red flag number 2 is social media. Nowadays, many schools, mainly big international schools, will use social media to advertise and share the amazing things that their school do through platforms such as Twitter and Instagram. The problem is, if schools aren't sharing those amazing things that they are doing through social media, you might start to raise questions, well, what are the amazing things that the school does? So that can be a little bit of a red flag and something for you to look out for. At the same time, one big thing that's been a problem I've seen from other schools before is using stock images of children. I know that children do amazing things every day in classes because teachers are amazing and really do try to plan fun and creative activities. So then you start raising the question, well, why are you using stock images of children when actually I know that you've got children doing amazing things in your school? Well, you start raising those questions. That could also be a problem from the marketing team. They want to use a more professional photo, but then that kind of, it just doesn't give a nice feel. Talking about feels, when you're looking at social media, you need to start having a look at the buzzwords that they use. Nowadays, schools can really oversell themselves on terms such as well-being. So when you go to the interviews, you need to be able to ask, well, you are kind of overselling, not overselling, but you mention well-being, and that is a really keen thing. What do you do about well-being? And if they're unable to answer questions about that, well, it could be a red flag because they know it's a buzzword. It's kind of like buzzword bingo, where they're just kind of throwing the words that they know will be catchy in there. So you just need to be careful about that one too. Red flag number 3 is a lack of organisation. When we're looking at this, we're looking at the communication that the school gives to you. So this could be a range of different things. It could just be a simple slow response problem. So you're sending emails and it's taking a long time to hear something back. Weeks, fortnights, and that's a bit of a problem. It can also be where you're trying to set something up, whether it's to be looking around a school and they've set something up and then you go to turn up or something along those lines, and actually the thing that you thought had been set up hasn't been due to a lack of organisation and communication on their part. At the same time, it could be through the application process where you've sent something in for the interview. For example, I had it in the past where I sent some footage of me teaching to a school, went to the interview and found out that the people who should have watched my teaching footage hadn't. And then the questions that I was having based on the footage didn't really match up because they hadn't seen the footage of me teaching. So it was just kind of like a lack of communication and organisation on that behalf too. Now, some of you out there might be wondering what the process of teaching internationally and applying for jobs internationally is. If you are in that position or you're looking for jobs in your home country of the UK, this website, Teachtraveltriumph.com, is the sponsor, it's my website, of this video. I've created a range of different content on this website through blogs and videos which you can watch for free, but at the same time you will also find the guides. Let me get them. I now have 3 different guides available on my website. I have this one here, which is all about trying to get your first job overseas. This one is fantastic for understanding the process of applying. It gives you lots of templates and tips to support you with that process of applying abroad. This one is because lots of people got jobs after using this guide, and then as a result weren't sure of the process of what they needed to do when they were going to overseas schools and how to go about that process of moving abroad. So this one's there. And then I also have one for newly qualified teachers, well, early career teachers who are going through that process of applying for jobs for the first time, and that guide is also available on my channel. So these are definitely recommended by many and definitely worth checking out. I'm going to leave a discount code called redflags10. You can use that on my website, and then yeah, 10% discount, teachtraveltriumph.com. Go and check it out. Red flag number 4 is a bit of an obvious one, and that's to do with staffing when you're going on that walk around in school. You can learn so much by walking around a school, and the staff room is one where you start to really get a bit of a feel about the school. If you go into a school and they don't have a staff room, which happens, it is a bit questionable, because you want that outlet for you to be able to vent, communicate with other teachers, and to have that breakaway from your classroom. So red flag. On top of that, in the staff room, if it's a lunchtime, let's say you're on supply, for example, and no one actually goes to their staff room because everyone likes to just kind of sit in their classroom, again, bit of a red flag, because you kind of question the team morale and what that's like, what the ethics and purposes of why people don't go into the staff room. You start to question that, again, red flag. At the same time, if you're walking around a school and you see staff and staff, avoid eye contact or aren't smiling, yes, they could be having a stressful day. However, if it's a consistent thing that you see throughout the school, it's going to make you question, well, why? Why aren't people able to kind of smile? Why aren't people able to give eye contact? Because you're probably going to be walking around with SLT, and it kind of makes you question, well, what are they trying to communicate by not looking at me? Yeah, red flags, and you'll get this general feeling. Red flag number 5 is too good to be true. I think this kind of speaks for the message of this video. Let's say, for example, you go for an interview and within 5 minutes of an informal chat, you're offered the job. Then you might start to question, is this a bit too good to be true? When you're looking at schools, when you're going through this interview process, when you're communicating with schools, you might just get a gut feeling that it's too good to be true. Trust your gut. I think that's a really important thing that needs to be spoken about. You will have this intuition inside you where, yeah, trust your gut, because it often isn't wrong. And yeah, if you get a bad feeling when you're looking around a school, just need to kind of step away, understand that there's other jobs that are going to come available, walk away from it. So that's my 5. I wanted to talk about some of the different comments that I got on Instagram and the comments that you shared. Again, if you haven't followed me on Instagram, make sure you do that so that you can reply to the questions that I ask through stories. I think it's really important to give anonymity to the individuals who shared this, because they might not want those comments to be shared, because they could be talking about schools in the past or present. It's just something that I thought would protect the individuals who shared their response. In the future, if it was like a Q&A video, I would share names and things like that. But I'm just going to try and protect individuals in this case. So when they describe the culture at their place as a family equals no workplace boundaries, well, that kind of does raise a bit of a question. If they've got that family, well, does that family communication continue after school a bit like a family? Yeah, so you just kind of want to be clear on where the line is drawn professionally. When they don't offer payment for extra responsibilities. Here in an international school, that is particularly true, because it's really important. If you're doing extra as part of an extra responsibility, you want to be compensated for that fairly. No discussion of past exam results / statistics. Again, really important, because you want to know if there are problems, and you also, yeah, there might be problems, but you want to know what the school are going to do about those problems, because having a year where there's bad test results is normal in most schools. But if schools know about that, then they also know what the next steps are. So if they're avoiding it completely, then you kind of question, well, do you know your next steps? What's the problem there? Yeah, red flag. Little focus on extracurricular opportunities. Like school shows. Yeah, you want to be able to see those. Again, that goes back to social media. If you're looking through social media and you're not seeing those extracurricular activities that the children are doing outside of school, you start to question, well, what's available there? And if they're unable to answer those questions about extracurricular opportunities, yeah, you do start to ask those questions. Staples that don't fit the staplers. If the small things aren't right, then the big things, yeah, what about the big things? Yeah, I quite like that. Staples that don't fit the staples. I guess like glue, yeah, because if you've not got the right size staples, then you might start questioning things like glue sticks. Are there enough glue sticks? Are they going to have the right pens, even though the marking policy says that they have to have a certain color pen? You start questioning things like that, so that's important too. Poor staff morale. That's going to be something that you kind of only get by being in the school more and more. But I suppose when you're walking around, that goes back to the low eye contact, that staff morale of being scared to speak up. So yeah, definitely. Schools that don't pay salary on time. In the UAE, yes, this has been a problem for some schools. You know, individuals might have their rent that needs to go out on the 1st. If they're not getting paid until the 2nd, when they should be getting paid at the end of the month before, then that does create stress. You know, that's going to create a massive problem for individuals thinking like, where am I going to suddenly get this money from? So that's why in a future video, I'm going to talk about money principles and things like that for teachers. I think it's important to discuss that, but that's not this video. Management that come across as rude / ingenuine, perhaps sarcastic, and you just don't kind of have that click. So you start questioning, well, if you're going to work in there, are you going to be able to have SLT that are approachable, that you can go to with problems? Important. So yeah, red flags. There is a range of different red flags that you need to be aware of when you're applying for schools, either abroad or in your home country. Again, if you want to go and check out my website, teachtraveltriumph.com, I've got a range of different guides to help you with the process of getting a job either abroad or in your home country too. If you haven't had a chance to like the video, do that too, because that really helps the channel out. And if you haven't already subscribed to see future videos, please do that, because that would be great to have you as part of the family. Again, Instagram and Twitter and all those different things are available, so you can go and check those out, because I'll be asking a range of different questions on there that you can respond to. If you feel like I've missed some of the different red flags out, drop them in the comments so that other people who are checking out this video can see those too. Appreciate your time, guys. Really hope this has helped you, and I will see you in the next one. Until then, I'm out.